Hello and welcome to a quantum conversation. We are here with Sandra Walter here in beautiful Boulder, Colorado. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome. It is gorgeous here.
Oh my goodness, we have so much to talk about in this video conversation. Sandra has been very busy traveling our beautiful United States, and she is continuing to work on the grids, and we're going to talk about the accelerated timelines and the polarity in our United States and the planet at this time, and how we can overcome it into unity. Sandra, let's first catch up with you. There's been a big shift in the energy lately.
Yes, we had 3 waves in 2016 that were predicted back in December. And in December last year, I was given all the dates of the gateways and all the dates of the waves that were going to come in. And gradually, all of these waves were going to increase in light, but they each had a specific purpose. And the first wave in January was the one that began to get rid of the structures that were keeping people in a looping mechanism of recreating the same thing over and over again. That started to go away, and anyone who was on the Ascension path got a boost. All of this is about raising the collective, raising the awakened collective as well. And then we got into the April-May wave, and all these waves aren't just a certain amount of dates. They actually go for months. So it's kind of overwhelming. And then the wave that came in April and May was geared at releasing all of these structures that were holding down the ascension. And that began this really escalated process for a lot of people, a lot of emotional clearing, a lot of resetting of the body vehicle. It was aimed at DNA, and a lot of us were getting that really deep reset, which made you very tired and made you not want to talk to anybody. Everyone was kind of in the cave, and then we started coming out of the cave in the summer, and then the third wave began to hit. Now the third wave, which entered September 24th through the 29th, the third wave is the strongest wave of energy we've had in decades. Now the initial, when all these waves began, when we started entering the photon belt, and when these frequencies started really shifting consciousness, actually began back in the 60s. However, this is the strongest wave we've had since then, and this one is aimed at an accelerated timeline. Now, timelines are all possibilities, so there's a infinite realm of possibilities and combinations of our experiences for individuals. However, as a collective, we're all geared in to certain possibilities happening if we all do certain things. So that's what the gate work and the grid work is all about, is opening up these interdimensional portals, communing with the higher realms that are working in tandem with us here on the ground. How's the collective doing? How's the higher realms doing? What can we accomplish? As this wave approached, it became very clear to gate workers, grid workers and gatekeepers that we were being called to work on a very special project. And whenever you're called into this kind of service where you have to travel, and just so you know, there is an entire subculture of the Lightworker Collective that is consistently moving around and working on the grids, and consistently moving around and working on the gateways. That's planetary wide. And if you've ever met any of these people, most of the time they're kind of invisible. You float below the radar, you're traveling, you're trying to stay as invisible as possible, because it's a very high level work, and it's something that not a lot of people understand. And I'm going to make it my business, and I've made it my business over the last couple of years, to be the spokesperson for that tribe. So this subculture that we have of the grid workers and the gatekeepers who are consistently moving around, you find a way to get where you're supposed to be before these waves come in and do the work, and you get very clear direction. The more willing you are, and the more you work on your ascension process, and the clearer that you can become. You get direct guidance. And all of us in August, all the gatekeepers, all of a sudden getting hit with this light intelligence that's delivering messages saying you need to get to a certain place by September 8th. And that there's going to be this trigger point over the weekend of the 999 through the 9/11, and it's going to initiate this wave. And then in order for the wave to create an accelerated timeline, an accelerated experience of ascension, which means accelerated disclosure, accelerated spiritual disclosure, all of this, speeding up, speeding up, speeding up, in order to set, this is all a setup for the energies coming at the end of 2017, which we'll get to in a moment. Going back to August, so we're all getting this direction that we have to go to certain places, and all of a sudden, all of these gatekeepers that I'm in contact with, and grid workers who have been holding the Pacific Rim, are suddenly told, east. You have to go to the East Coast. And all these people, whether they were called unknowingly, had a wedding to go to, had travel presented, some even went as far as Europe. But there were structures that were anchored in the old grid system. We've been working on a new grid system. I'll get to that in a moment. But there were structures anchored in the old grid system that were still being used to hold that old, dense polarity, negative consciousness in place, the things that the dark have been using this whole time. And this is Atlantean and pre-Atlantean stuff that was planted deep in these grids. So we hit the road. You know, you hit the road and you trust. So we were doing all this work to pop open all of these blockages and all of these points on the grid that were not just being held down, but had this ancient technology that was very clever, but it was time for it to go. And me personally, I had to go and leave my post at Mount Shasta. I've been the gatekeeper there for 4 years. Leave Shasta and go to the Crystalline Vortex of Arkansas, which, if any of you are familiar with that, those crystals hold light technology that are in place for our ascension. And it was being held back by this layer of consciousness that had these tendrils kind of, anchored down into the planet. So I was called, because of all the work and all the practice and all the rehearsal and everything that I've done at Mount Shasta, to turn that into what it is now. I was called to go to Arkansas. And I kept in touch with my sister gatekeepers who were also going, and we anchored all these different points all throughout this old Atlantean grid, which ties into the old ley lines, which ties into the Masons and the Illuminar structures and everything like that. And it was really interesting the way it went down, because we all had to be there by September 8th. And then on the 999 was the trigger point. And it was all of a sudden you found yourself commanding the release and the cessation of all of these old technologies. And it was like, it felt like a bomb sometimes. It was just like this explosion of energy popping out of there. And the second that gets released, we have this massive clearing. And it goes through the major Atlantean vortex, of course, is in Bimini. So we had this huge hurricane right after this occurred, right after during that wave. Why do we have this massive hurricane that was not manufactured? That is like, the technology is going away. That is a giant release. And thank you to all the light workers who guided it away from the coastal areas as much as possible. But that had to happen. We couldn't pull it apart. That's something that was a clearing activity. But as the wave came in, then all of these ascension codes and all of these new frequencies of light started to hit the ascension tribe, and everyone is starting to get, not everyone, a lot of people, there's a whole strata of the ascension tribe that's getting a more psychedelic experiences of very pure consciousness. And this is something that anyone can engage with now. There are not going to be any more blocks after this weekend. So we're here on the full moon weekend, October 15th, and this is the last of pulling that off. Now, why the U.S.? Obviously, it's an election year. This is much of that ancient stuff that was anchored over in Europe, the old intentions were then moved here and kind of hijacked our whole system. So we're in this hotbed of polarity consciousness, and where all of those ancient structures were anchored. And as that breaks loose and comes loose, expect the unexpected, beloveds. This is something that is going to affect politics, social structures, emotional structures, all of these different constructs. And like we said years ago, technically 3D is gone already. And we moved into the lower fourth dimension, and we are plowing through that to get into unity consciousness. And whatever number you want to put on it, it doesn't matter. We're talking about unity versus the old duality. And the old duality technically is gone already, but all of these structures that keep creator incarnate humans repeating the same thing and doing the same thing, those programs are being shut down so that we cannot recreate that, because it's madness. It's like a rabid mouse chasing its own tail. It's madness, ridiculous. There's no evolution there. So as we engage with these higher levels of the evolution, the ascension, the spiritual disclosure, we're going to see more and more higher level experiences, and this is all preparation for not just the elimination of what was, but the absolute birth of this brand new level of consciousness. And it's very important to focus on the unity and not watch the old stuff burn. I know especially in the U.S. it's very difficult because we're in an election year and everyone's watching the puppet show and guessing and betting on what's going to happen and who do we choose and all of that. That is just a demonstration. If you can look at it from a very pull back and look at it from the cosmic perspective, that is just the polarity consciousness playing out to the hilt. It's going to stretch till it absolutely has to break, and we're at that point, and we're releasing everything that's been trying to keep everyone attached to that reality and letting it go completely. I hope that makes sense. And then all of this prepares us for the energies that are coming in 2017, which takes us fully into an ascension experience. And even through gate work, I've never been called to actually open gateways in the sun itself. We've always had contact with the solar light beings. That's why they always tell us, there's going to be a flare, there's going to be a wave, these energies are coming in. However, this is the first time that we've ever been requested to actually work with the sun directly and make sure that the sun is prepared for the energies that are coming in. Because, as we know, the galactic step down the energies as much as possible so that it doesn't create such an extreme polarity on the planet that people lose their minds, but we do expect psychological fallout. That's why all of us have been doing our clearing work and allowing the process to unfold in a very natural, organic way, and just keeping pace with the energies, keeping up with the waves of consciousness that are changing us.
You talked about pure consciousness, how we'll be able to experience pure consciousness more. What is your definition of pure consciousness? What is that like for you when you've experienced it?
It's difficult to describe in my personal experience because it doesn't have words attached to it. It's like this. You get a little zoned out sometimes because it's like nothingness. It's the void and all that is all at the same time. It's pure source. It's pure source light. It's absolute love. It's absolute purity. And more of us are experiencing that, and it will feel like your heart. You have a heart torus and then your energy fields. But your heart torus feels like it's almost like it's pressing up against your chin and down against your lap most of the time. It's just this constant energy ball that's growing and growing, and it does expand very, when we meditate, you go into pure multidimensional consciousness. It's beautiful. However, the experience is absolute divinity. All is well. That's the thing. It's like the absence of any kind of judgment, any kind of polarity, absolute peace, absolute purity, and the whole goal of the ascension process, or for my ascension process at least, is to embody that pure light, to embody that pure source consciousness, so that you become, no longer Sandra, just a conduit of that pure light, so that the higher realms, source, God, whatever you want to call it, can do the work. You're becoming the presence, the Son of God. You're becoming the presence on earth, not present, but presence. And that purity, we experience it more and more and more. And yes, it would be lovely to just go off on, a mountain and experience that all the time, because you can. At this point, you can just flow right into it, and it's consistent. I described to the tribe back in January, I had this 3-day experience of that pure Christ consciousness. And you look around and everything looks completely different. It's a completely different reality. Everything is pure and beautiful, and there's no judgment. It's a complete absence of any kind of duality whatsoever. And it's absolutely beautiful. It can feel kind of orgasmic at times. It's just like, wow, this incredible amount of love. And it all comes through the heart, though. It's not through the head. It's not light pouring in through the crown. It's you become your own universe. And in my universe, pure source consciousness, you're creating that. We're becoming these pure creator beings. And we've all been told you're your own universe, you're your own reality and everything like that. But now we're using the light that's coming in, using the full support of the Ascension process, and actually becoming that. It's beautiful. It's really incredible. And you can see the effect that it has on people. You can see the effect that it has on the elementals and the kingdoms and other people and Gaia. We wouldn't be able to do what we're doing right now. And the more that you can embody that, the faster these old structures will go away. So it is in pure service to unity consciousness, to the higher thing. You're not concerned about yourself. I myself have had a great personal challenge. I'm using it as a teaching tool. I got rid of everything. Got rid of my apartment, got rid of all of my belongings, sold all my belongings, gave the money to a gatekeeper, just got rid of everything. And it was this grand act of trust, which is normal for a gatekeeper, normal for good workers, because we do trust. We're traveling around in our cars and not knowing where the next thing is or whatever. But I'm actually using this as a teaching tool to be completely free during this time, during this timeline shift, so that I can fully experience the acceleration free of any connection, any obligation, any kind of tie to the old material world whatsoever. And that's just me. You don't have to do that. That's just me. I'm just experiencing that. And then I can see as we move into 2017, okay, I'm going to need to land somewhere, and so that I can be in service and really embody this, put the body in a comfortable place, and really call this forth. But it's already happening. I want to be clear. It's already happening. This is rampant in the light tribe. Many people are having these very psychedelic experiences. My vision as a gatekeeper, I see swirling portals everywhere. I see light and sparkles, and the rose light that's been circling in my pineal is now an eyes open experience. So it gets kind of dreamy and psychedelic, and you'll find that the waking life seems more dreamlike than your dreams. Your dreams become very lucid, very real experiences. We're doing a lot of work in our dreams still. So it becomes kind of trippy, but beautiful. That's the thing. It's beautiful. It's nothing to be afraid of. The more that you can face your fears about any part of this process or anything that's going to happen and say, I'm not going to go there. Face the fear, digest it, eat it and process it and everything, and figure out why you feel the way that you feel. Do your emotional clearing. But on the other side of that is freedom. And that's the thing, especially with the election year. It's not one candidate or the other, or who they're going to put in whose place or whatever, or what's going to happen. All of us as humans have to realize that we need to lead. We are the leaders. The unity consciousness is the leader. Source is the leader. It's not electing somebody and then, waiting 4 years and nothing changes. We're done. We're done with that. So spiritual leadership, divine leadership, is on the menu right now. And this is something that we all have to realize. It's not trying to sway the vote one way or the other, because that's duality. Do you like this guy? Do you like her? It's not about that at all. And all that structure is going to crumble. And then we're all going to have to realize it's not about them fixing this. There is no them. It's us. You know, this is our planet. This is our process. This is our ascension. And we are going to, you know, take over in neutrality, in the highest interests of all concerned, in unity consciousness as one.
This election year that's so divisive, that really makes people upset and worried. So you just said it right there. We are the spiritual leaders. We are the leaders. We are sovereign. And that's where the focus should be. You talked a little bit about accelerated timelines. Talk about that and what we need to be doing and the importance of our vision of what we want.
Yeah, and the accelerated timeline does require participation. You know, the folks that are asleep, I had a conversation with my guides last night because I was wondering, how much effort do we have to put into waking people up, assisting them as we move into these higher states of consciousness? Because a lot of the way showers, you know, the first wavers, even second wavers that are starting to, anybody who's experiencing this higher level of consciousness, you can see that working to try, you know, any kind of preaching or trying to convert people or trying to, you know, helping, I have to assist. Yes, you want to be in service, and yes, we would love for as many people to ascend as possible. However, there's a neutrality to this Christ consciousness. There's a level of divine neutrality that'll make all of your work more powerful. And we're moving away from the New Age structures. You know, New Age is old age. We've been saying that for years. We're moving into this new paradigm structure that has so much creativity, and that's really where our focus should be. And no matter how you're awakening people, yes, of course, we assist our brothers and sisters. That's why we're here. You know, no one is here to like, I'm going to focus on my own ascension and everybody else, whatever. This is about raising others and raising consciousness, but we all have our specific roles. So the end of the kind of light worker judgment of, you know, my modality does this and your modality does that, and how come you're not doing anything, and how come, you know, we're done with that. You know, we're done with the polarity consciousness altogether. And the section of the light tribe that it's experiencing this Christ consciousness activations creates a very high vibration, and that is something that I personally am going to be focusing completely on as this wave unfolds, because it is important to the structure of the new grid system. The new grids, of course, are the ones that work with crystalline consciousness and overlay the old grid system. The old grid system is connected to 3D. So we're taking some of the ancient technologies that were put in place for this moment in time. I mean, we're here on the accelerated timeline, and everyone had the collective choice to move into that acceleration. And there were so many people that were having a hard time with the body, having a hard time with the journey, having a hard time with the waiting game. You know, that's all going away. Yes, of course, Ascension wreaks havoc on the body vehicle because you're experiencing evolution in a very short period of time. You know, we're in jump time. So you, in your own body vehicle, are the critter crawling on the beach, suddenly sprouting legs, you know. We're doing that in one generation. It's incredible. And now we're moving into this acceleration because everyone called it forward. Typically, gatekeepers are the ones that make that choice. You know, we take a kind of a overview, we give it to the higher realms and go, whatever, let's speed up as fast as we can. But this was the first time that we were able to talk about it and go, look, we're in for an accelerated timeline choice, and if y'all want this to happen, you need to participate. And Loran, you asked, what's the best way to participate? Keep your vibration in the zone of love. It's so simple. In love, light, and service, you know, love and light are the same thing. It's consciousness. Love, the pure divinity of source consciousness. The purity through the heart, really working through the heart. No more hypocrisy. No more delays. No more waiting for somebody else to fix things. We are those people. This is not us versus them. The war is over. You guys don't need to worry about that at all. But there is no waiting for them to fall and then I'll do something. That's not how it works. This is a great overlap happening. The unity consciousness tribe is stepping forward at the same time the old stuff goes. It makes it smooth. It makes it nice. And if any of you have seen these visions, even Melchizedek gave me a great vision in the middle of this gateway. And there were so many bizarre things that happened with this gateway because we were removing what they call the last seal on the process. So it was the last thing that had to be lifted, the last gate that was opened before this acceleration and these pure energies can start coming forth. It doesn't happen in a day. It happens over the course of our linear time so that the collective has a chance to comprehend what's going on so that no one's robbed of their process. However, amazing things were happening. I mean, magical things always happen in the gateways, but there were so many clear metaphors. You know, your life, when we talk about, you know, reality becoming more dreamlike, it's because we're dealing in metaphors, and metaphors, the language of the universe, the light language, the metaphor, the creativity, everything becomes poetry. Everything around you. That's why in Ascension Path you do so much work on the symbols and what's presenting and paying attention, and that's how you vibe with this higher ascension timeline. The acceleration is it's all about getting into the larger universal mindset, heart set of divinity and purity, and it's going to present for you. And when I get back to the Melchizedek thing, you know, he's showing me this great vision, and all of you who are, your visions and your lucid dream state are going to become one. The kind of experiences that you have in meditation, there's so many visions, and those of you who have a very active pineal like I do, you're seeing so much a lot of the time, especially if you're a gatekeeper. But they start merging with your dream state, because dream state used to be what we, you know, was fourth dimensional consciousness. It was what we used to experience as dream state. Now that we're in that resonating with that vibe, you are in the dream, and then you start to, you're able to manipulate it. You know, you're moving into your mastery with this by recognizing what's going on, moving things around, you know, becoming kind of galactic about your perception. But Melchizedek steps in, and there's this huge the Capitol building, and I kept getting symbols of the Capitol building in D.C. and Indianapolis, you know, all of these major anchor points for these political systems. This is what is being hit the most hard during this third wave, is the government and the political systems and the financial systems. I am not a Revel person, so don't ask me about when is all the money coming. I have nothing to do with what that is. It's all energetic. You know, stop thinking about it so linear as like money, no money, new money, old money. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about consciousness and the shift in consciousness. And Melchizedek shows me the Capitol building where that giant painting is of George Washington touching his finger. That's not God. It's Melchizedek. It's, you know, it's part of the ancient order. And there's all these people up on scaffolding painting it over, painting it white, clearing it, just absolutely painting over that whole structure. And Melchizedek drops down in like a painter's bucket, very clever, drops down in like a painting scaffolding, and he comes down, points up, points up to the roof like, do you see what's happening? And I for one am not political, but I can see, and those visions that a lot of you are seeing of Capitol building and different structures and buildings, the structures in your own town, maybe your Capitol building that's right in your own hometown, perhaps. All of those things are getting hit, you know, and also Masonic structures getting hit because they're getting cleared. And again, this is not a war. This is not something where you go in and go down, I can't wait. You know, even when Hillary collapsed on 9/11, my heart opened wide. And I don't want to get too emotional, but the experience of Christ consciousness doesn't have judgment. So when you see one of your sisters collapsing because of that structure, I was in Bill Clinton's hometown too. When you see during the wave, when you see those structures going down, you know, on a soul level and an oversoul level, on a source level, you know, that's the end of an era, that's the end of an experience, but it's also, it has so many souls attached to it, and what that is going to do to so many different structures and so many different belief systems. You can feel it like, ooh, the collective's going to have a hard time with this one. So, but my heart opens immediately, because all summer long we were making these deals. I'm involved in these negotiations as an interdimensional liaison of what's on the bargaining table. DNA strands were on the bargaining table. Clemency. All of these, inner earth structures, all of these things were laid out. Like, if we go into acceleration, it's all give and take. And you stay, I don't make the decisions, but I stay neutral as a liaison between this reality and the other reality, kind of like, how will that affect things? What's the easier way we can do this? If we give you DNA, you have to step down. This has to come down, that has to come down, and everything. And when you start seeing that playing out, there's beauty in it. And try not to think of it in the old 3D terms. Think of it in the cosmic perspective of this renewal and this birth of the new and this pure evolution and this pure source consciousness going, and I'm done with that thought. And now something new. So in your Christ consciousness, when you're vibing with the accelerated timeline, it's creative, it's creativity, it's learning to be creator incarnate. That's the whole point of our ascension process, is to put you in a lead box and have you find God and become that, become source, and blast that box away and find yourself as a spark of source once again. And then you become such a strong creator being, you can be put into any situation and you can step forth, and purity and non-judgment and divine neutrality, and do much higher level work and ascend to the next level. Leveling up, that's what it's all about. And it is all about this unity consciousness that's stepping forward. So when it comes to your work, I know everyone's exhausted. When it comes to your work, pace yourself, but don't put your energy into the old stuff. Don't waste your energy. You have to be very diligent about your energy and your energy fields during this time. Choose wisely. I know we always say that. Choose your timeline wisely. Choose your experience wisely, and it's moment to moment. Pull yourself back into your heart. Breathe. I am. Okay. All right, we're good. We're good. If you catch yourself getting entangled with or feeling attached to outcomes, let go. Let it go. It really does not matter. Let it go. Let it play out. Let it play out. Create the new. Have some forethought and go, when all this comes down, what am I going to do? What am I going, not how am I going to survive, but what can I create? How can I be there for people? What is the highest level of service that I have? What is the highest level of creativity? How can I show my love? What are my skills? Identify what your skills are for a crisis situation, a chaotic situation, a Christ consciousness situation. What are my skills? And put all your focus there, and the energy will follow. Magnetics get very strong during this time. Manifestation gets very strong during this time. So make sure that you're directing your energy, your thoughts, your heart in the accelerated direction, and you will vibe with that timeline that puts us in place for extraordinary things. Trust me, it's going to be extraordinary, magnificent. Many of you getting the images of that last gateway opening. Incredible portals in consciousness have been opened and are opening with this wave. This is not just looking at the sun and waiting for the sun or whatever. Get involved. Participate. Call forth the removal. Call forth the removal of all that is blocking your ascension, the collective ascension, and call forth the light consistently. Get out on the land. Do the work. Participate. Learn how to do that. Talk to your grid worker friends and go, I've never done that. How do I do that? You have to leave the house in order to do that. But get out. I was surprised. I gridded the Denver Capitol building, and nobody had done it yet. I was like, it was 2016.
When you go to work on the grid, is that meditation? Is it anchoring energy? Share a little bit about what you do for others.
Sure. Well, when you're a conscious grid worker, when you're fully conscious of your ascension process and fully conscious of yourself as a higher being, and you start merging. Merging with your higher self is the ascension. So as you start merging, you start becoming that, and then you are intuitively and sometimes quite directly guided to place crystals in certain places, go to certain places. We're going to be doing that in the journey tomorrow when we go up on to the Flatirons. I'm going to actually be showing people how to open gateways for the very first time. Unless you're in my class, in my class there's a whole section on crystals and gate work, but it's physical. You're going out, you're leaving the crystal in the ground, and any of you light workers, if you're wandering around sacred sites and you find a crystal, you better leave it there. Big karmic kickback for moving grid crystals. But, just leave it there. Bless it. Amplify it. Open it up. And it's a conscious process, and it would be wonderful. And I feel that a lot of my work actually is going to get into sharing grid work and gate work specifics of how to do this, because a lot of people are leveling up to the point where they're ready. And it's not just, I was told that I'm doing a lot of work in dream state, and I guess I'm just going to meditate or whatever, but it is opening yourself as a pure conduit, part of the ascension process, letting the light do the work. Incredible things happen. The kingdoms respond. When we left that last seal off, I was in the middle of a lake in a kayak and putting crystals all around the kayak and opening, and I'm like, okay, show me that worked. And 7, again, the metaphor, 7 crows fly right over the kayak. They fly to another part of the lake, join a huge, what do they call it? A murder of crows, a huge batch of crows. And they fly off into the distance. At the same time, a golden eagle comes and flies right over where, I got goosebumps, right over there. So we're constantly being shown incredible things. I actually hit a black panther with a crystal. That's another story. But during this whole thing, set off a pack of coyotes. It was pretty wild. But things happen, and that in itself is enough evidence of you leveling up. You get more confident the more that you work with that, and all of us can be doing this right now. It's not something that's reserved for certain people, but a lot of times your guides will coordinate things. Like a lot of people that went to the East Coast and they didn't know why they were going to the East Coast or Europe, and then they show up there like, whoa, it's going to be the third wave? Okay, I'm going to get out, I'm going to meditate on the ground, I'm going to put my crystals in the ground, I'm going to participate. That's why all the articles are like that and have been like that for the last couple of years, because it's consistently like, okay, here we go, guiding people to participate, and it's working. And incredible things are occurring, and you're going to feel it. And not only that, you're going to feel it in your energy fields. It's going to amplify your heart. Our next step is actually opening, applying what we've learned in gate work to our own body, and opening, all of these gateways within the heart and gateways within the crown. We're leaving that old chakra system altogether. I don't even teach the chakra system in the class, because we're moving beyond it. It's the ascension column and the torus fields, and opening that as gateways. It's the exact same thing. You see yourself as this microcosm of the macrocosm, and you end up working the same way in which the solar light, Solaris, works. The same way the great central sun works, or the paradise sons of God. This is something that we're really vibing with right now, and that's something that everyone can do, and wonderful to be participating, having the dreams, wondering, I don't know why I'm going to go here, I'm just going to go. Follow your heart, with any of that. Wonderful when you become conscious of it. But yes, there's many beings who are participating that don't even know that they're participating. It's just the level of consciousness. A lot more fun when you're awake and aware of what's going on. It gets quite bizarre, but it's, it is what it is. It's beautiful. It's fantastic. So much love. It's a very intense amount of love.
You've talked a little bit about the seals and how it's releasing the last tendrils of the dark.
Mhm.
Do you have anything else you want to talk about the seals, or how you came under the direction to remove or open those seals?
Yeah, for me, again, you're following this intuitive guidance, and the in meditation, you're shown, like I was shown a map of my path, and the map went down to Arkansas through the crystal beds, and then it loops. I went through Nevada, Utah, had to drop down to Four Corners, cut through Colorado Springs, go over to Arkansas, and every hour or so, stopping and opening, and creating this channel of energy from Shasta to the ancient crystal vortex. The largest vortex in North America is in Arkansas. And those crystals are amazing, and they had information for me. That's the other thing. There's always a level of your personal journey that's involved where you get to level up and receive more information about who you are. I've worked with those crystals before, so you're kind of revisiting, some of the past journey and recalling that and everything. But on a galactic level, I did not understand that I had the capability to remove things like that, or how to do it, or that everything that I learned in Shasta was going to be applied to that vortex, and then that vortex itself had beings that I hadn't seen in a long time. And even when I went through arches in Utah and got to visit the guardian temples there, not just rocks, those are ancient temples, but those structures were just spoke. They spoke to me. They were there. So you learn so much when you do this. And then when all of a sudden, I was just kind of doing classic gate work on equinox, and all this energy came forth that was of a much higher frequency, and I had this big shot up the up the back of me, and which is something I experienced on the 10-10-10, which oddly enough I was instructed to get crystals from Arkansas up in Chicago for the 10-10-10, and here I am sitting on that crystal bed years later as a gatekeeper, like fully awake, and got a much higher frequency sent through my energy fields. And in that moment, I just started weeping, because in that moment I was changed forever. Absolutely changed forever. And I know that everyone keeps hitting those things. Keep going. There's so much more. It's like every time you hit that next level, there's so much more. You're like, I'm not the same person. I'm not even here anymore. You're letting go of the old person that you were. And for those of us who are in complete surrender, surrendering all that we have and all that we are, and staying wide open, staying very flexible about our realities, you will receive more and more of that. I came out of that experience, and it does, step down. You get back into, okay, now I have to, get in the car, drive cross state or whatever. You're able to do that. But it seems more and more that higher level of energy that I am no longer here. I'm going into my higher self or whatever. I feel it's going to get very freaky over the next few months. And definitely over the next year as we prepare for a full-blown ascension experience when the light comes in. So the removal of all those seals gets all the stuff out of the way that, so now it's a conscious choice of the tribe to call forth our ascension. When you get rid of all those things, and it takes a while for it to crumble. It's not like, pulling the lid off of a can and now, throw it away and now we're done. I mean, we're still experiencing linear time, so it does unfold. It's going to unfold very quickly now. And it's all preparation. Finally we're there. Finally we're there for like the full-blown experience, and it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be beautiful, and you have nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about. And your brothers and sisters that are going to step through the veil, over the rainbow, before you into that full embodiment, give them your support as much as possible. There's no judgment of you went first, you go second, how come that person. I've seen these lists circulating around of these are the 144,000 that are going to ascend, and they put me on that list. I'm like, you know what? My ascension is between me and Source. It has nothing to do with anybody else. That's your personal journey. But this is when you start to experience that level of consciousness, there's no list. There's no, everybody eventually will get there. It's just a matter of, where you are at in your level of mastery and what you're willing to experience. And how much love you can surge into the collective consciousness. And it can be simple or it can be complex. I know a lot of the light intelligence can get complex. It's even more complex than what I'm talking about right now. There's, so what? It doesn't matter. On a heart level, feel this vibration. Feel this. That's that energy, that pure love energy. And it gets bigger, and it gets clearer, and it gets stronger. And if you, call forth the removal of anything that's keeping your process down, level up, vibe up. We're here. We're here. Pay no attention to the puppet show. Let it go. Your energy needs to be directed elsewhere. Unity. We're going.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. One of the fascinating things that you always talk about is the sun, and some call it a hiccup or a sneeze of the sun, but this is really this great cosmic surge that we are preparing for.
Yeah, a lot of people are talking about that one cosmic moment. And if you're a sun gazer or even a gatekeeper in your visions, you've seen what the sun is doing. It's like it spits out information. It spits out light, and it looks like flickering and flashing. And I know other people have described it that way too. And in my consciousness, I try not to project too much, because in my consciousness it feels like it already happened. So I'm like, okay, and then that happens, and then these certain people are going to be affected, and there's this. It's confusing to a lot of other people, but I feel that it's going to be beautiful. I feel like the work that we're doing now, and the work that's going to happen in early 2017, is going to make it an extraordinary experience. And not this crazy biblical, I don't know, a lot of people are probably going to lose it, but we're going to be there. I mean, understand that the negotiations that are in play right now are opening so many things that people have the underground hybrid kids, and there's so much going on.
Negotiations between higher realms?
With just the stuff that's going on in the grounded. There's the things that I hear are, there's exchanges. It's like, okay, we will assist certain beings with the restoration of their DNA, but you cannot destroy all the freaky science experiment kids that are, oh God, that breaks my heart, that are in the underground bases. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to burn the evidence. There are light workers who will take them in, and because we have our hearts wide open, we're like, we will take care of them. No, you don't get to do that. We will assist you with your DNA, because they know that as we are going to fully embody what they, if you want to call them they, what a lot of people were actually going after, and then they went off track, they went off the path, they took the dark route and got completely lost and are not capable of that embodiment, which was their original goal. So the original goal was like, we're going to be these great beings. It's like, nah, not if you take that path, So they just took the wrong path. So those of us who are on this pure ascension path, we have the ability to teach, to activate, as our skills, as our mastery comes into play. When this light frequency comes in, we'll have those abilities. So there's a lot of give and take, so that this goes down with as much ease and grace as possible. However, the duality, that polarity thing, it breaks. There's a tension point where it just breaks, and we're coming up on that very quickly. So that, and again, that's a whole separate reality. There's a whole separate timeline. experience, is the people who are entangled with that and they want to see it. If you want to see somebody crushed, you're in the wrong place. That's not coming from the heart. If you want to see something crumble, they must be doomed, tribunals, all that stuff. It's like, you know what, let God take care of that. Let the higher realms take care of that. That is none of our business. Stay out of it. Stay out of it. That's that we are responsible for creating divine leadership, for creating spiritual leadership. This planet's destiny is to become a spiritual center. So just focus on that. If you want the long-term plan, you want to align yourself with like some forethought, put all your focus there, as a spiritual leader. And that doesn't mean that you're, some kind of a guru or just teaching Reiki or something like that. It means that you are living that. You are the living expression of one truth, that oneness, that unity.
And the raven agrees.
And the raven agrees. Blessings, brother.
So inspirational, so comforting in a time that is turbulent.
It is.
Anything that you want to cover that we didn't get to in a time that is turbulent.
It is.
Anything that you want to cover that we didn't get to.
I guess I just want to say that all is well. It appears things are not as they appear. That's the other thing, is we're getting into these higher states of consciousness, and it's not detachment. I mean, there is some detachment from the lower reality, but when you're vibing with that higher reality, go for it. Go for it. That's, it is about the love. Comfort each other and support each other as much as possible, because you learn to do it with light workers, and then as other people wake up, it's easy. It's a no-brainer. You embrace them, you assist them. It becomes your way of life, becomes selfless service, becomes that love. And it does get easier. It does get easier. And watch the magnetics. The more you worry about something, the more you're going to create it. So, keep your focus up there.
Do you have anything to say about service to self based in love versus service to others? That's a that's a topic now where many are focused on service to others without the self-love.
Oh, the self-love is, we learn that at the same time. That's a parallel reality, is experiencing the opening of your own self-love at the same time you're stepping into service. You don't wait for one or the other. It is a parallel reality. So you are a parallel experience. So you're always learning more self-love. At the same time, you're learning how to be of service. And, the whole setting boundaries for yourself. Everyone is going through this ascension process, and there are days where you're like, no people, thank you. And you just have to go, no, not today. And everyone's going to have to honor that. And if you have a friend who says, no people for the next 10 years, then you might want to talk to them. But now we're coming through a year or a long time of like cave time and wanting to get away from everybody. And could everyone just be quiet? Even hearing my own self-talk, I'm like, I can't believe we're still doing this, Lorraine. Because there's this different reality. There's this other reality stepping forth. And you do have to honor that, in your own process. But it's amazing, like even driving cross country, we're all so exhausted, can't wait to sleep and everything. I can't believe I drove, 10 hours a day with activations in between and everything like that. And yet I call forth a complete reset, knock out for a few hours, get up, ready to do it all over again. So there is a constant rejuvenation as your DNA activates, as it reconnects, I should say. The DNA is there. We're just reconnecting it now. And it will give you more energy and more wherewithal, but let yourself have the experience. That's the other thing. Let yourself have the experience without getting into a martyr type situation. You don't want to be, I'm just giving and giving, and then you drain yourself completely. And you can't have the higher experience if you're completely drained. It doesn't work that way. You'll find that. You step away from the crowd, forget, sign off already. I mean, get offline once in a while and have the experience, because it doesn't make sense to just read about it or to look at other people's experiences or constantly be looking at all the different information. We're stepping into a different level of consciousness. Allow yourself to have that, disconnect from the lower reality and let yourself have the higher reality experience once in a while. And everyone will understand. True light workers, true gatekeepers, true grid workers, true ascending folks understand that people need time sometimes, or they need to step away, or you need to be flexible, or hey, the energy is going to be crazy this weekend, I'm not coming to the gathering. Anything. It's fine. And it's not like you said, nobody cares. In the state of consciousness, all is well. All is fine. If we don't have a gathering, whatever, snowstorm, okay, Oh, there's a squirrel. Sorry, I'm distracted by this gorgeous red squirrel. Beautiful. There's a squirrel in the middle of the videotape. Who cares? It's beautiful. So, yeah, just allow yourself to have those experiences. It's the balance. Still working with balance. And don't feel guilty if you need to take time off. Don't feel guilty, like, oh, I wasn't in service 24/7, just in the whole, like, 50% in service or whatever. When you get there, when your heart is open, and really check yourself. These energies are about checking yourself. Where am I in my integrity? Am I really doing what I want to do? And if I just don't like it, why am I continuing to do things that I don't like? You got to drop it. All of us who have surrendered, house and home and belongings and money and job and all that stuff, in order to create something new, will tell you, honey, it's okay. Just let it go. It's just the ego that makes you feel like, oh, I got to give an update, otherwise they think I've lost it. Forget it. I haven't given a true update in a long time, because I'm traveling, and I'm like, sorry, that's, it is what it is. I mean, I could sit and write all day long, and it would be beautiful to write all day long, but there's other things going on. So we all have to be patient with each other and really support each other through this process, and take it easy. Simplicity. Eat the high vibe, drink the high vibe, purify all that you are, so that this pure light can step forth. Let it happen. Let it happen.
Such an inspirational, comforting conversation with Sandra Walter. After this conversation, we definitely know what the vision is and what our role individually and collectively is. Sandra Walter, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, everybody release. Have the cry. It's safe. Bawl your eyes out in the middle of the store. Who cares? Let the ego go. Just feel it. That's the thing. Feeling. This is a feeling mechanism. It is about this love coming forth. Let's all just feel into it. It's there already. It's already been, we already created it. We're just coming back and living it. Let yourself have that experience. And I love you. Blessings.
And we love you. And what's that song? Now let your love flow like a...
There's a reason for the sunshine skies, and there's a reason why I'm feeling so high. Must be the season where that love light shines all around us. So let that feeling grab you deep inside and send you reeling where your love it can't hide, and then go stealing through the summer night with your lover. Just let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow with the smallest of dreams, and let your love show, and you'll know what I mean. It's the season. Just let your love fly like a bird on a wing. wing and let your love bind you to all living things, and let your love shine. And you'll know what I mean, that's the reason. There's a reason for the warm, sweet nights, and there's a reason for the candle lights. Must be the season when those love lights shine all around us. So let that wonder take you into space and lay you under. It's love and embrace, just feel the thunder as it warms your face. You can't hold back. Just let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love flow with the smallest of dreams, and let your love show. And you'll know what I mean, it's the season. Just let your love fly like a bird on a wing, and let your love bind you to all living things, and let your love shine. And you'll know what I mean, that's the reason. Just let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow with the smallest of dreams, and let your love show. And you'll know what I mean, it's the season. Just let your love fly like a bird on a wing, and let your love bind you to all living things, and let your love shine. And you'll know what I mean, that's the reason.